Not every card's a PSA 10 or a PSA 9 or a PSA 8. But thinking through this grading world that you've come through, man, like I know you're a humble guy. I know you don't like to talk about it. I want to pump you up. How many cards are you guys grading right now per service per month?
Pretty much we've honed in on DSA and SGC, and we're doing over 10,000 cards a week. Right now, we've sent a grand total in for the public just around 900,000 cards, and that's not counting the stuff that I've personally sent in over the last 5 years or any employees have sent in.
Jameel Muhammad and Jeff Cardozo dive into the hobby, which is sports cards, trading cards, as well as all other collectibles, right now on the Meelypod Hobby Podcast, live from the Coaches Podcast Room at Spurrier's Gridiron Grill.
All right, it is that time again, the Meelypod Hobby Podcast coming your way, episode number 15. So we'll call this the Tim Tebow episode. So that means we got to bring it.
Yeah.
Got to get after it.
Got to be focused. Want me to give a pep talk?
Yeah.
I mean, the last really day of our lives now. Yeah.
Well, we've got a fun one for you again, coming at you live from our Meldon Law studios. Meldon Law, they won't back down. He is Jameel Muhammad. I am Jeff Cardozo, and we are happy to be in the Spurrier Gridiron Grill podcast room, where this podcast continues to do some really great things. And we've got another great guest for you in segment number 2. We've got Kania, and we sit and talk about these upcoming prospects a lot and different things that are going on. But this is a young dude that is really killing it in the hobby world.
Yeah, quietly, KKSportscards is one of the biggest. What they've done in such a short time and what Kyle has done with his team is amazing. So we'll dive into that. He's a big baseball guy,
so
sweet.
I'm sure
you'll like that. And he loves just all things prospects, baseball. I mean, Bowman Chrome is this week. We'll talk about in our third segment. So a lot of things happening with baseball this week, but. We also did just get through week 1 of football.
That you did. Baseball winding down. The playoffs are coming up here shortly, but that's what everybody wants to talk about is football. And we get started. And, yeah, I think there were a few surprises, but a lot of the known. San Francisco, really good, and Aaron Rodgers looks old, and Kirk Cousins looks old. So maybe if you have an ACL or something going on, you probably don't want to come back and play against these young bucks and do different things. But, Jameel, there were some young bucks that I guess now affect the card world, and I think we've talked about this leading up to it, and if a rookie does well, what's going to happen. And I think certainly the quarterbacks are the big discussion, and maybe there's some time on that. But one guy that I went after in the fantasy world, just because of what he did at the Combine, and he was going to play with Patrick Mahomes, was Xavier Worthy. It looked like he's going to be legit. So now all of a sudden, do I need to go buy Xavier Worthy cards?
You might have missed the bucket because I think everybody is going ham on it. There's a Topps Now card. Actually, something very interesting about that. If you look at his jersey in one of the post-game interviews, there's a premier patch on it, and it's just like the correlation for the NFL to the MLB with the MLB debut patches that they put, and then Fanatics took them off the shirts and put them into cards as one-of-one cards. So they're going to do that. Xavier Worthy will have a one-of-one rookie Premier Day jersey patch auto, which would probably be his best card. Yeah. So that'll be the one you'll have to hunt.
Okay.
Yeah.
I will look for that one. Well, somebody I actually hunted a few years ago, thanks to you, which now it might be a good thing again, and you're representing today, Baker Mayfield. I loved him coming out of college. Obviously, he was short, but I loved his savvy. I loved the commercials that he did up there inside the stadium. And, obviously they get rid of him for Deshaun Watson, who, gosh, I would imagine his cards are really garbage. But do we see a resurgence of Baker maybe this year because of what he did last year and now starting off?
Yeah, I think he's a great example of somebody who was on a team for so many years, had all his rookie cards in certain jerseys, and then he goes to a different team, and you kind of see that side of things with the cards. But the thing about him, and he's one of the biggest winners I feel like of week 1 because they're not predicted to do much. The Bucks are blah blah blah. Yet they've made the playoffs the last 4 seasons, and Mike Evans is back and looks like he's 25 years old. So maybe I'm partial to it because I've been a Bucks fan for my whole life, but I think a little bit about him. His rookie stuff is fairly still cheap. So if you think they're going to have a good run, it's a great time to purchase something on his end because everyone's focused on the rookies, the rookie quarterbacks and the guys from last year. And you bring up quarterbacks. I think about that game with Anthony Richardson and C.J. Stroud. Yeah. It was an amazing game. Those two guys were highlighted on the oomph level, right? And I think that helps cards a lot for 2023 simply because Anthony Richardson is the only guy who has autograph cards in all the Panini products. So that helps those products. And then I think moving forward, we're going to see a lot with Stroud and his rookie autos and patches and stuff that come out of like this Topps composite football. This week there's a product called Topps Motif football, which is like a fancy artsy like card. So we'll see what this all pans out as. The week one was very exciting. I think there were some huge wins. There's also some losers.
Yeah, I can imagine. And I think when I think about that, a guy that I think maybe even in the card world people were hoping would get better is Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah.
And this is the number one pick, and he's supposed to be good. He's got some receivers again, and they've got this offense with ETN and different stuff, but it just doesn't seem like he can ever really get it going there. So what are his cards like?
I mean, it's tricky with Trevor Lawrence because there's so much people who have a lot vested in him, right? And now he's in the AFC South, which is a very, very tough division. And we just talked about two of the quarterbacks in it. You know, you throw in Levis in the mix and he doesn't throw a pick six. They're 1-0. That's a pretty funny meme. I don't know if you saw it with him on his knees after he threw the pick. There's a meme of him just on his knees like, no, like, and it's just the guy catching the ball. But I think that division is just young and ready. And he's the veteran in it. He's the 2021 class. You got 23 class, you guys younger than him. So, and honestly, they're playing better than him. So, I don't know what's going to happen to the Jags. I don't want to hate on the Jags too much because it's here in the state. But I'm a little worried about some of his rookie stuff because they've been so high for so long. Another guy that I think of, we talk about biggest loser. There's two that come to mind. One who you would never think that the word loser would come out was Joe Burrow, and two is Bryce Young. So between those two guys, like Joe Burrow stuff was through the roof this offseason, and they didn't look very good at all. They looked very stagnant on offense. To lose to the Patriots, who everyone's picking to be the low of the low, was pretty wild. So is it just a fluke? We'll see. I mean, that happens in the NFL sometimes. And Burrow's shown where he's had some little lulls and then has come back very strong. But Bryce Young, I think, is the one you look at as a guy who, last year, number one pick, he had some flashes, and you watch that game and you're just like the Saints just dismantled him, and that whole team. So the Panthers, NFC South, I don't think they're going to have a very favorable season, especially with the Saints and the Bucs looking the way they look.
And I think the hope was bringing Dave Canales there, who was with the Bucs and rejuvenated Baker Mayfield's career, that he would be able to do that with Bryce Young as well. But yeah, it might take some time to do different things. And quick hitter on that, Dave Canales is actually the brother of a guy that I played with at Florida. So a little tie connection there. So I'm rooting for Dave. Yeah. And I was sad to see him go from the Bucs. But all right, so we mentioned then Lawrence and Baker. Let's go to Miami. Tyreek has his little beef. I know that's not going to affect his cards. He still does his thing on the field. But where is Tua at? I wonder, because, the dude threw for more yards than anybody in the NFL last year. Yeah. And it looks like he's on target to really do that again. So is it a time to invest in Tua?
Tua's the one thing with him is I think he's proven that from that 2020 class, he's in that mix of the quarterbacks, right? Herbert, him, Love, Burrow, Hurts. He's in that talking point. But the problem is, winning in the postseason. Yeah. And so last year was, I think, a real big hit to his cards because everyone expected them to make a little bit more of a run, and then they lose. I think it was first game, right?
Yeah, to Kansas City in that negative 18-degree day.
Right. And I think they also, in a way, kind of blew the division, right? They could have had a home game, and they didn't. So there's a lot of things that go into that in leadership, and it's always going to go to the quarterback. So Tua, I'm excited to see he's got the weapons. They've got to make a run. The AFC, AFC East, I think look a little stronger now. Maybe if the Patriots are, maybe Coach Mayo has got that team figured out. The Jets are always going to be tough, and then you have the Bills who are going to put up 900 points a game with Josh Allen jumping around like Tebow. So I think that division's tough still. We'll see what happens. Tua cards have kind of been stagnant. I think after week one, the big winners you're going to see are some of the position guys like Xavier Worthy you're talking about. And, with these quarterbacks, you're going to see these jumps, especially Stroud and, his push that, cards are so expensive in the offseason. But now they're starting to maybe realize with some of that stuff. Richardson stuff may start to pop up a little bit. I think they play Green Bay week 2, so hopefully they can get a win there. But yeah, I think that you look at some of these cards. It's week 1. A lot of people make rash decisions. A lot of you fantasy guys, I'm sure, have dropped players and added players. I know I have in a few. But I think that's one of these things where it's just kind of the ebb and flow of cards. let's see where we're at week 16. If Bryce Young might be division leader and Joe Burrow might be the MVP candidate, But
so you could then, in essence, say, "Hey, I still believe in those guys.
Yeah.
They're low right now. Go try to get them." And we've talked a lot about saving boxes or saving wax from X amount of years ago, and the Shohei you could get then, how much those boxes are. It's crazy when you say that about that rookie class of 2020. So I mean, is that something that because there were so many great quarterbacks, at least now playing, that those boxes might still be of pretty good value?
They start to peak in the offseason, right near into that June, July, August time. You start to see the prices increase. But, it really is dependent on how well these guys do. Does Love come back? Is he hurt? That probably hurts the box price now. But any 2020 wax is going to be very hard to find. So if you have stuff, if you have cases of it, or if you have boxes of some of the mainline brands, that's another way you can invest. And if you think about it, that's only 4 or 5 years ago we're talking about when you could have bought this stuff. So investment wise in wax, if you believe in rookie classes, can go a long way. Which I think 2023 football, if you really believe in some of those guys, I think that may not be a bad idea to put some investment money into that, if that's the way you want to go.
All right. Well, it may not be a bad idea to head to Jameel's shop in Gainesville this weekend because it's Rip Night. You got something cool going on.
Yeah. So there's something called Topps Hobby Rip Night, Jeff, and they do it twice a year. Every shop that's a direct Topps manufacturer shop gets a chance to be a part of this, and they send you some swag and stuff to give away and T-shirts, and we'll have a lot of fun with that. We mark down packs and boxes because we want, obviously, people to rip open. You want to hear that noise. You guys all know the noise that I'm talking about when you rip a pack open. So you encourage that. You giveaways and stuff. And some shops will get athletes or celebrities to show up to their shops. And we are in the limbo right now. We may or may not have somebody in Gainesville. I don't think we're going to have one in our South Carolina shop, but we're going to have big sales at both of those shops. Encourage you to come on out to those stores. It's going to be a fun time. It's Saturday this week, so I know we're T-minus just a few days before that, but we'll have some information on our socials and platforms, hopefully by the time this podcast airs.
Okay, awesome. Well, you got a big day then in Gainesville on Saturday with the Gators playing at 3:30, and you got ripping going on over at the shop. So a lot of great stuff. All right, we're going to rip through a break here real quick, but then come back and talk to Kyle Kania. Great conversation about to be had here on the Meelypod Hobby Podcast.
Albert, Alberta, I understand you were witnesses to a crash. Can you tell us about the accident? When you're in a crash, it's important to get witness statements immediately after the accident. Whether you're in a car, truck, motorcycle, scooter, or even a golf cart accident, at Meldon Law, we won't back down.
Things have certainly got a little out of hand lately when it comes to just buying our everyday necessities. Just look at gas, streaming services, and heck, even chicken wings. Well, there is one necessity that shouldn't cost a ton: taking care of yourself and helping fix all the aches and pains in life, and the fine folks at Titan MRI agree. With costs a fraction of what you'd pay at a hospital, you'll not only save money, you'll be taken care of by staff with over 20 years experience. So when you need an MRI, call Titan first, and you can go where your doctors send their families. Now offering CAT scans.
All right, we welcome you back to the Meelypod Hobby Podcast. Again, broadcasting from Coach's Podcast Room at Spurrier's Gridiron Grill here in Celebration Point. Jeff and Jameel with you. Well, we hyped up this young hustler who has done a lot of great things, and I have found out that he's a huge baseball guy. So, Jameel, thank you for bringing him on, and I'm excited to talk to Kyle.
Yeah, so Kyle and I got to know each other years ago through card shows and just events, and there's always, you can always sense when someone knows what they're doing, and this guy had it figured out early on in his card career. I think he was just finishing college. We'll ask him about it in a second, and he just got all into cards, and when you talk about, a young prospect coming up to the major leagues, this is Kyle Kania, and he's already been called up. He's doing some amazing things. So I think he's on virtual. Kyle, are you there, man? We're excited to have you on.
Yeah, no, I'm super pumped to be here. I appreciate the kind words, and look forward to chatting with you guys today.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, it's a great industry to be in, and sure beats doing accounting. That was my other option. So,
Yeah, and me and Kyle get a chance to be in the amazing state of Florida with the hobby too. So I mean, we get the weather, we get the sports, we get the beaches, we get everything. So we're lucky. So you have this growing resume, man, and for our viewers and listeners, you started a card shop just recently in Largo, which for people who know geography, it's down there in Tampa area, St. Pete, Clearwater. How is it going? Like, how is the shop holding up? I see you got the camera set up behind you. You got a nice mat there to your left. I mean, how's the shop doing?
it's great. I mean, the shop was just the bonus. We just needed more space for our day-to-day operations because we have like 5 divisions. So I was like, look, let's get out of this smaller place we're renting, get into a larger space, and hey, might as well open a card shop. And since we have the space, and I mean, in the last 4 months, we've had a T206 set walk in,
Ooh.
a 33 Gaudi set walk in, a 52 mantle. I mean, I'm like, what else is there to look forward to? If you hit those 3 in the first 6 months. But yeah, it's been great. No complaints at all. I mean, it's all about the people around me, and it's my team is what really has propelled me to get here.
Yeah, and I mean, teamwork is such a big deal. I think you knew that playing baseball growing up, and even some college ball. Like, it's fascinating to me that we're sitting here and we're old now, and you're like this 12-year-old. It looks like, but like, how did you get into this? Like, what made you kind of become what you are in the story?
So I mean, it's kind of everything just happened so quick, but I realized with baseball practices, workouts, whatever, I had no time to get a job, and my parents, they didn't give me money. They taught me the value of $1, and I was like, how can I make money without clocking in and clocking out somewhere? And long story short, I ran into, PSA, and I had a Derek Jeter card that was $7 raw, and I saw on eBay it was selling for 125 in a PSA 10, and I was like, that's a huge spread. How do I get my $7 raw card to be worth 125? Well, spend 30 minutes a night on eBay, get the cards in, send them off, get them back, and sign them. That's not taken away from any time of studies, playing baseball, any of that. And I started doing that and scaling that so much just for myself that they offered me a preferred pricing membership like my senior year of college when I blew my arm out and reality struck. Hey, got to get a job or do something. And I was like, let me try this group submission thing, offered it to the public, and then it just caught wildfire from there. Just tiny 300 packages a day, 350 packages a day, just, and then processing, and, because there's no blueprint or handbook or anything for it, just kind of figuring it all out. And through that and doing the things that I could control, right, grew a good name in the business, and then came along whatnot with breaking consignments and everything else. But it got so big so quick. It was like, I feel like I was running after a hamster wheel going down a mountain. It was like I was playing catch up the whole time. But finally, caught up, got everything in place, and yeah, that's pretty much how I got started.
Awesome.
I mean, grading is vital. I mean, it's essential. It's a great story hearing about your $7 Jeter and just the realization of that. And I think we see that now with people, right? They come and they say, "Here's a raw card I have," like, but I saw as a PSA 10, it's this. And so it's this idea of, hey, I can make this jump really quick. Now, obviously, Kyle and I can tell you, not every card's a PSA 10 or a PSA 9 or a PSA 8. But thinking through this grading world that you've come through, man, like, I know you're a humble guy. I know you don't like to talk about it. I want to pump you up. How many cards are you guys grading right now per service per month? So I think you're doing PSA and SGC. Are you doing more than that? Let me know.
Pretty much we've honed in on PSA and SGC, and we're doing over 10,000 cards a week. Right now, we've sent a grand total in for the public just around 900,000 cards, and that's not counting the stuff that I've personally sent in over the last 5 years or any employees have sent in. But just for the public, I mean, that gives the idea of the magnitude of what we've done. We have an API integrated website with DSA that updates the customers, because it's literally impossible to update 5,000 6,000 people at any given time. So we kind of got that developed, which took a while because you're explaining a process that the normal person doesn't understand, to the web developer. And it was a very unique, system we had built. It took a lot of, hey, this doesn't work, this does work. But we finally got it pretty much automated to where it's completely transparent. We're doing all the work for the same price as if you went to PSA and paid the same price. As if you had the membership, which is $250 a year. So it's like, it just makes more sense, to go through us. And it's, that's kind of why I did it in the first place, because I was like, it makes sense for the customer. It's an essential need, like you said. So I wasn't like, oh, I'm just going to do cards full time, right? Like, what happens if the market goes up or down? But people will always need grading. People will always need consignment, no matter where the market's at. So, like, for me, that stability and security is what made me take the full jump into, hey, this can be done if you work hard and do it right.
Million cards is what I just heard from this guy. I mean, that's I just hear that I'm stuck on that number. It's amazing what you've done, man, and how you've cultivated teams and systems. And you also just brought up tech, which is a term that doesn't really fall well with the hobby. I think people still are having a hard time with tech. This, but I love the fact that you've innovated so much and you change and you pivot with the times. And I know that I've had to do that. I remember you talking with you through COVID and how we were changing our businesses as well. It really is like amazing, and kudos to what you've done and your team, down there, and to the countless people across the country who I meet. I go to all these shows across the nation, Jeff. Oh, I grade with KK. KK got me this gem. All these things, and you do this thing on your Instagram, KK Sports Card of the Day. Go check it out on his Instagram. Him and his team will show you a banger card that they just graded a PSA 10 or whatever. Maybe a vintage card is a high grade, and they show that off. It's a great piece of content. You're big on education. So. Card shop owners, if you're listening, or breakers, if you're listening, Kyle, what is the biggest advantage to you as a shop owner, as a breaker owner, that you offer the grading services? How do you see that help build your brand?
So yeah, it ties into every aspect from you can come in the big spenders, right, for breaks. Like, they don't want to mess around with all this other stuff. So if we can outsource that process of getting card graded and increasing the value and tie that into our breaking, that's a big service add to the customer, who now doesn't have to go then get the cards, then either figure it out on themselves how to grade or mail it off again. It stays in our house. We get it graded, and they can literally see a card get pulled on camera, and when it's in their hands, it's in a slab, or we're able to sell it for them and they're getting a check for it, while maximizing value. So I've seen the grading is kind of like a propellant, and just an add-on service for every aspect we kind of have, or every division we have, which would be from breaking to consignments to the card shop, wholesale buying and selling. It's really structured out. It's like 5 businesses in one. Yeah. Grading kind of ties in everywhere.
The breaking thing's fascinating to me, and I sometimes just get on late night watch Jameel and the things that are going on, just the excitement when that really cool card is pulled. One, I guess, is there a remembering of maybe the best card you've ever done from that? And how has breaking just really influenced this KK brand?
So that's a good question. I mean, yeah, Jameel does a great job with hitting the singles hard and the excitement in his breaks. I mean, for us, probably hitting the Ethan Salas Super Fractor Auto. It was the top prospect at a 23 Bowman Chrome. That was like the biggest hit in the whole product. I mean, we've hit a lot of big cards. Like even last week, we hit the Corbin Carroll 101 First Bowman Sapphire. About a year ago, we hit the 2020 Bowman Bichette Super Fractor Auto.
Wow.
Just cards that you didn't think were in these older products. And that's why we rip a lot of them. But yeah, the breaking just grew and grew and grew. And it was because I was like, how can we be different? Because everybody has the new product, right? Like everyone has the new release, and me with my knowledge, adding in these older boxes that are not very expensive, that have high upside, educating the customers and putting those in, you've cultivated an audience that now sees the value in 4 different years of Bowman with super high upside versus one, high-end box of Diamond Icons, which is an awesome product, a lot of fun, but the upside is in Bowman Chrome and Bowman Draft, the first Chrome auto for a player. And that's why I think baseball is the best value, because in football and basketball, the player's best card is going to be what? Out of Flawless, that's what, $8,000, $9,000 box, or National Treasures, what's that, 4 or 5,000? Where Bowman Hobby's $240.
Yeah.
So for dollar in, dollar out, it just makes the most sense to me, and we've kind of explained that to our customers.
Yeah, that's really cool. And as I tell Jameel all the time, baseball players are the best athletes anyway. So it just that's
Obviously.
Definitely.
This Whatnot thing. How many channels now do you have? And I saw one where you guys are over like 100,000 followers. This is crazy.
We have 3 over 100,000, and 2 that are climbing their way up there. We have a baseball breaking channel. We have a football breaking channel. 2 consignment channels, and a 3rd consignment channel that's just getting off the ground. And then we also have on another platform 2 other channels. We have a total of 7 channels. And people just see the front screen of, oh, there's the cards, but it's like the back end fulfillment, double checking, scheduling, just training, all that stuff that really takes up, the most amount of time, staying organized, through the process, more than just, oh, we're ripping the pack on camera and it's fun. The back end work and fulfillment is massive, for volume and consistency.
Yeah, I mean, you when you talk about mass stuff, like this guy's doing, he's got his team doing 30 case breaks and player breaks, and it's amazing to watch, and how well you've, not just kudos to you, but your team, how you've trained these guys and gals to break consistently. And one thing I really respect about what you've done is you really honed in on baseball, right? It became your niche, and everybody, I can think of maybe one other major breaker that I think of as baseball, and I think you kind of surpassed it, but that was Cardsmiths, as a guy who only did baseball and all that stuff. But you've kind of taken it to this next level, pivoted on all these different live streaming platforms, and then Whatnot, that app. I mean, kind of a perfect storm, because we were initially doing a lot of those, high-end card sales back in the day, I remember. But it's been beautiful to watch, grow that. I think, you brought up a couple things. I want to hone in on, some more advice, I think, for you might have for people starting breaks in shops. But before that, you mentioned Bowman Chrome. So Bowman Chrome comes out tomorrow. We'll be talking about it in our 3rd segment. I'd love to hear for our listeners. There's always people who want to know who to chase in Bowman Chrome. So we got Kyle here. You're a baseball guy. Have you had a chance to look at the checklist? And who are you liking in the new Bowman Chrome coming out this week?
So I am embarrassed to say that I have a meeting with my top breakers at 5 today to talk about that and go over it. I'm so busy in the day-to-day and focusing on that. I like the day before at like 5, like I'm going to work through with my top guys. Hey, this is who you can chase. These teams are weak, so what product can we pair it with, to make sure that all 30 teams have a chance.
Yeah.
But so I have not looked at it yet. But
Don't worry. Me and Jeff were looking at it. LDV is the name everyone keeps saying. So that's the one in the Padres. But the truth is, like with Bowman Chrome, you just never know, right? I mean, a lot of these international guys, and you think about some of the. You talked about the value add of dollar in, dollar out. Buying Bowman Chrome a lot of the times, if you're patient enough, right? There could be some massive up charges and up changes in the value of those cards. So it is a fun rip. The HTA this year and the hobby kind of staying true. Well, of course, mega boxes and all that will be coming out soon, and you guys will be ripping thousands of packs on your stream, which is fun. So make sure you guys are checking out Kyle Kania and his team, KKSportscards on Whatnot. There's all these different channels. If you type in KKSportscards, it'll come up with all of them, and make sure you give him a follow and join some of his live streams, and they're really fun. But I wanted to shift gears for a second here, Kyle. I know you and I have both had our ups and our downs in the hobby, and as we've grown, there's been some growing pains, and I think it's good to be transparent with people and just letting them know, like, some of the hard lessons, that are in this. I think there's a lot of people you meet all the time. Oh, I could be doing what you're doing, or I'm going to break it. I'm going to start doing this, or I'm going to get product. And it's like, are you ready? Do you have the backbone? Are you hardy? Are you tough? Like these kinds of things. So what would be like maybe some of the hardest lessons you've learned opening a shop, as well as, growing this huge breaking operation? Because I think a lot of people could glean from that.
And it's a huge point that no one ever talks about, so I'm glad you brought that up, Jameel. Yeah, I mean, it's just, I was thinking about it the other day. I was like, why am I as successful as I am? Like, we're not inventing, some FDA medicine or jet fuel, or like, this isn't rocket science, right? But it does take hard work. And the only thing I've kept consistent, because I have made mistakes, and I call it paying to go to card school, where you make a mistake and it's like, well, I'm not going to do that again.
Yeah.
But and hard work, um, ethics, morality, and just being transparent with the customer. If something happens, just be honest with them. That's all you can do, and make them whole. That is the one thing that stayed consistent with me for 4 or 5 years. I mean, every other mistake in the book, skin my knee, whatever. Just being transparent, and it's like, yeah, anybody could have done this if they wanted to, sacrifice 7 days a week and work 12, 15-hour days. Like, it was there for the taking. I mean, but nobody else didn't. And then now that people are successful at it, they want to say, I could have done that, whatever. Well, you should have. I mean,
Yeah.
I think the more the merrier. There's a lot to go around. There's a lot of opportunity, but it's just a lot of hard work and just doing things the right way. Control what you can control. I can't control if PSA takes an extra week on an order, so I'm not going to get upset about it, right? Like, but I know that I handled their cards properly and insured them properly and overnighted them within one business day of them arriving to us. That's pretty good. Double check them on the way back. So that's the biggest thing. But by far, bar none, is just transparency and honesty, and doing things the right way. 100%.
It's so awesome to hear. And Kyle, I'm still sort of new in this world, and just the people that we get to meet on here, and obviously somebody like you, it seems like this card hobby community is just, it's infectious, and everybody wants it to be better for other people, and they don't care about that stuff. So the honesty is such a tremendous part of it. So it's great to hear you say that. But I do want to hear, you're down there in that St. Pete area, Tampa, of course, where the Yankees are spring training, and so I would assume that there's like a lot of Yankee fans, maybe some older retirees that have just randomly found cards in their attic somewhere, or some lady brings in something that they had from whatever ago. So is there some cool stuff that has come in that you've gotten to grade just because being in that area and people just don't know what they have?
Yeah, absolutely. Just the retirement area, people find stuff as they're moving down. The T206 set was definitely the biggest one. The kid had no idea what he had,
Wow.
but we were honest with him and helped him secure, over $500,000,
Wow.
for what he had. So, and that just walked in the door. But there's a lot of old ladies, old people that just come in. Hey, my husband died. I have this, that, the other. But, we always treat them, with honesty and pay them fair. And it's like, that's infectious through the community or the area. Because then people hear, oh, they took care of me on this, and then it leads to more deals, whatever. But there's been some unbelievable stuff. Mantle rookies, the Koufax rookies. I mean, you name it. It's literally, T201s to early other Ty Cobbs, 48 Babe Ruths. I mean,
Holy cow.
It's crazy.
I get a text from him before the National. He goes, "Hey, look at what we just got. It's not one Goudy Ruth. It's like 4 Goudy Roots and 3 Goudy Garrigs and all these things." So Kyle and KK, they don't do things just on a one-off. They do them on a set off. I mean, it's amazing to hear that, and I'm thankful in our state too, Kyle, because people don't really realize there's 22 million people in Florida, and there's probably 20 good sports card shops in the state, and you have, I think, revitalized that area down in Tampa and St. Pete. I only hear amazing things about people going to your store, and it's great to see this kind of like you're almost in a way like an archaeologist, right? You're digging up some of these fossils that are in Tampa.
Good point.
They're on the beach there, and you just there's a Mickey Mantle 52. They just kind of got out of the beach. So I'm excited to see the growth and the model that you set forth. I know you're a busy man. We could talk about grading just in its own for hours and hours. We didn't really even touch on the consignment services that you offer. So if people are looking to sell through consignment, please reach out to Kyle and his team. They do an awesome job with that and their platforms. A quick little personal testimony is they have a card show down in Tampa that they run. I think it's every other month, right? The one down in the hotel. I can never think of where it's all. The Carry On Hotel. Right? And the cool thing is they run Whatnot streams live from the card show, and they give the people who come to the card show an opportunity to sell on their platform. So, Joe Blow, Jeff and I can't just start a Whatnot stream right like this and have thousands of people, tuning in over that stream, and you guys give that opportunity. So I love the fact that you're sharing what you've built with the hobby community, and I think that's another element where you guys have been successful and people realize it's not all about KK, it's about the hobby. So thank you for doing that. I want to jump into our rapid fire segment. We have a thing we do each week. It's called the Meelypod Titan MRI rapid fire questions. If you're up for it, I've prepped a few questions for you. I'm going to sling them in at about 98 miles an hour, okay? So I don't know if you can knock these out. We'll see if you can do it. I know you tore your shoulder, but I know you can throw some heat too still. So, all right, you ready, Kyle?
I'm ready. Let's get it.
All right, first thing that comes to mind, Topps Sterling, Bowman Sapphire, or Topps Dynasty?
Bowman Sapphire.
I knew you were going to say that. I knew you were going to say it. You love your Sapphire. All right. I'm going to switch this question up. Originally, I wrote down how many home runs does Shohei Ohtani finish his career with, which I want to hear from you. But I also want to hear if you think if he goes 50-50 this year.
I'd say, some 50-50. The career, I mean, I'd have to be spitballing. I'd say 520.
Ooh, okay. All right, let me throw a bonus in here. What about Trout? What do you think his home run total is going to be when he finishes?
I pray to God over 500.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are. Okay, moving on. PSA 9, BGS 9 with good sub, so we'll call it a 9+, or an SGC 9.5.
It depends on if it's modern, ultra modern, or vintage because eye appeal. But overall, I'd say I'll take the SGC 9.5 over the 9s from the other companies.
Nice. Extended bidding or sudden death?
On big ticket items, I'm going extended bidding, sudden death all day otherwise.
They kill it on sudden death on their thing. It's awesome seeing like the last 3 seconds with your streams. People just go nuts. All right, you get 10 of Jeff's best pitches today. Okay, so today we're talking about September. How many times are you taking him yard out of those 10 pitches, Kyle?
Probably 2. I'll go with 2. I think Jeff
200.
Yeah, I'd hang a slider, let him get one.
Let him get one.
Try to run a fastball in, he'd turn on it.
Probably 2.
I'll give you that.
We need to set that up. We'll just go down to Tampa and we'll set it up in the when you guys are filming your sports card of the day. Okay, going back into brands here, Bowman Chrome, or Bowman Draft?
I mean, I'd say that's tough. I go Bowman.
Okay.
I mean, because the Bowman Chrome's usually international prospects. Draft is guys coming out of the draft, and then Bowman's just guys getting signed on. But I'd go Bowman.
Nice. All-time favorite baseball movie for Kyle Kania?
Oh, Angels in the Outfield for sure.
Wow.
You gotta
Good one.
the thing, the flaps,
Yeah.
right? There we go.
Yeah.
That might be mine too. That's my generation. I feel you on that one. All right, what's worse? This is a 3-parter here. Let me give you all 3 of these. These are. I'll just throw it out for the people. Customer complaints. What's worse? Someone saying, "Where's my grading order?" Number 2, someone saying, "Can you hold my grading order for 3 more weeks because I can't pay you?" Or 3, "This card is a 10, so why did it get a PSA 8?" Which one is the worst?
Oh man, I'm gonna go with number 3. It's number 1. We've pretty much, gotten rid of that by saying check your account. Number 2 is just fronting the cash for them, not the end of the world. Number 3, trying to explain to somebody why, under a loop, here's the issue, and they don't see it, is like just talking to a wall. It's like learning Chinese arithmetic. It's like you can't explain something to somebody who's just that confused.
Yeah, and us baseball guys aren't good at math anyway. So
And I just love the fact, because I'm laughing because I'm hearing all of this in our store, and things as well, at card shows with people. It is the verbiage that we're used to. All right, well, last one for you, Kyle. Appreciate you being here on the Titan MRI Meelypod Rapid Fire segment. What is one thing that Kyle Kania would like to see change in our hobby before we leave?
I would say more positivity, more of like the stuff that you're doing, Jameel, just more of the positive side of it versus people hating and worrying about other stuff. It's like focus on your own business or your own flipping. What can you do to improve yourself? Why are you looking at somebody else and spending time on what they may or may not be doing? That's the one thing, because it truly is a hobby, and the fun that I see dads and sons having in the shop, it's like that's what truly makes me happy more than making a bunch of money on that deal. It's just seeing the interaction between dad and son, or people, friends just having fun. So I'd love to see more of that. overall.
Love it.
That's what it's all about. Awesome.
That is it. Well, Kyle Kania, folks, there he is, KKSportscards. If you haven't heard about him, you should. The prospect, the number one prospect in the sports card hobby world. So we're excited, man, to see you grow, and we'll have you on. Hopefully, this podcast can keep going for years, and we'll have you on in the future. See how far you get with the Tampa area, and just growing the shops and the breaks and the group grading and the consignment, and maybe you'll run for president next. So we'll see.
No, Jameel, first off, thank you so much for having me. It's awesome talking with you fellas. Don't put yourself and your credit down. You have 2 card stores going on, which is unbelievable. And I think we both can agree it's all about the people around you. It's not just Kyle. It's not just Jameel. It's the team and the people here, and that's what I'm grateful for. And you do a great job of as well. So thank you much for the kind words. But and hopefully, I'll be able to make it back on sometime.
Yeah, man. Appreciate you, brother. Go have some fun with Bowman Chrome this week. I know you got a lot going on.
It's going to be crazy. But thank you so much, guys.
All right.
I appreciate it. And,
Yeah, Kyle. See you, man.
Yeah.
Thank you, Kyle. Hopefully he crushes it with the Bowman Chrome.
Yeah, he's gonna
awesome
crush
stuff.
it. The team. I'll have to get you on the Whatnot app so you can go see what they're doing there. It's amazing the amount of product they rip open. We talk about hobby rip night. I mean, KK Sports Card rip night is every night. So it's fun to watch. And he was mentioned some of the superfractors they've pulled. I mean, those are cards that they pull for people that change people's lives. He didn't mention the superfractor from he actually pulled the Skeens, I think it was, superfractor auto from the national packs that came out. So that was kind of a cool card. And he's always just on top of all that stuff. I see him in all the big shows, and it's good to kind of talk. And I didn't realize how many cards are actually grading for people. So, good shop owners out there, and we'll hope to have more of these gals on as well in the future.
And just the neat part, too, is obviously there's all these modern cards, but then for him to have just these old cards that you didn't even know existed, walk into the shop and all these people have it and they're finding it and they're going through different things. That, again, can change somebody's lives. So, yeah, go through that stuff. If you're rummaging through, have you ever gone to a garage sale?
I used to love garage sales. That was kind of one of the things I originally got into. I think garage sales are tricky now because finding them and I think when you can get to a garage sale when they have like the whole subdivision doing garage sale, those are the best ones to go to. But estate sales are kind of getting a little weirder now because there's people that will come in beforehand. A lot of people don't know this. They'll wholesale a lot of that stuff out to people that they already have before they even put it out to the public. And then storage unit lockers, I think, are becoming even more so a little tainted as well. I think it's cool when you just have the shop and people literally walk in with stuff that they've been passed down and they have no idea, and it's a gem.
Yep, it is. All right, we have no idea what's going to be in the new Bowman boxes. We'll talk about some wax that's coming out this week when we come back on the Meelypod Hobby Podcast.
Meldon Law has been serving personal injury victims since 1971. In those days, Jeffrey Meldon's presence as an attorney in the music scene dubbed him with the nickname the Hippie Attorney. And although times have changed, 2 things haven't. Our commitment to bettering our community by helping the injured.
Albert, are you ready to go to the game?
And our love for the Florida Gators.
If you bleed orange and blue, Meldon Law is the firm for you.
This is Jameel, owner of the Meelypop shop, Gainesville's home for collectibles of all sorts, including every single type of sports cards, whether it be Panini, Topps, Leaf, Upper Deck. We have it. Come on in, get yourself a box, a pack, get yourself some supplies, get into our breaks, get your Pokemon, get your Yu-Gi-Oh! All the other different kinds of TCG products that we carry and shop are always fully in stock. You can find our stuff on our website as well, Meelypops.com. That's another way you can interact with the store, or you can just come into the shop. We're located off 39th Avenue by I-75 behind Walgreens and Sonny's. Stop on by. We're open every Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And you can check us out on our social media platforms, Instagram, TikTok, Whatnot, Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. We'd love to see you. Come on out to the shop, have some fun, be a part of the card community here in Gainesville, and always go Gators.
All right, great stuff there from Kyle, KKSportscards. Remember, check it out. A lot of really cool things and insights and these prospects, which, of course, then leads us into our wax segment. It's brought to you by WaxStat, the easiest way to get real-time price comps on wax boxes and sealed products from your mobile phone or your laptop. Save time and money. Get the best deal on wax by visiting WaxStat.com. And I smile because there's Bowman Chrome baseball in front, and Kyle was a big baseball guy, and these are always interesting because obviously there's all these top prospects, but it's I guess full of guys that it might take a few years before you even know who their names are.
Baseball collectors are the most patient people, I always say, because they sometimes they're also the most blind, right? They'll get on a prospect, they'll buy all of his cards, and then he'll get called up and look horrible, get knocked down, and is batting 172 in the minor leagues, and they're still going to tell you he's raking and he's going to hit bombs and nukes, and you're like, yo, like he didn't do so well in the beginning.
Slow your roll.
Yeah, I mean Jackson Holliday is a good example of that this year, right? I mean, he get called up, didn't look so great, gets put down, and then he comes back up, and they're playing great ball, right? So, and Orioles is just a great young team. So Bowman Chrome is coming out this week. It's got 2 iterations, the hobby box and then the HTA box. We have the HTA here on set. This is the one that has 3 chrome autos, and it's 1 pack. It's kind of more the Breakers, the light Breakers specific one. But, the prospects this year, and you see this in Bowman Chrome, you have a lot more international flavor, a lot of names that you may not have heard of before. And so, like, Leo DeVries on the Padres, LDV, everyone keeps saying, because that's cool to say, I guess. And these guys that they have that are coming up, they can be really expensive. And sometimes people will buy these cards for exuberant amounts of money, and no one even really knows what they're doing, right? So I have a fun story to tell you. I have a friend who works through one of the MLB teams as analytics, right? Okay. And he was a big baseball card collector. So about 5 years ago, when he got his job, he told me, he goes, I can't collect Bowman anymore. I said, what are you talking about? He goes, I can't collect Bowman because it's considered, MLB has a stance on it. We have too much information on all these prospects that nobody else has, and so I can't do it. And now the MLB has come out, and maybe it's a Fanatics push, but they've come out and said that it's not seen as gambling, and that people who work for the MLB or its affiliates can now collect baseball cards. Okay. So he's getting back into Bowman. Good deal. Yeah, so it's exciting. So I'll have to hit him up for some info. But it's cool to see the love for Bowman. It's always very, very fanatical in the beginning. So our last releases, of course, with Dylan Cruz coming out and Walker Buehler, all these different guys, and Walker Jenkins. I just said Walker Buehler. Walker Jenkins from the Twins, right? And just guys from prior, they're coming up. And I know we were talking about a guy that just got called up whose cards were astronomical, came back down, and now the Yankees have somebody that looks pretty good.
Jason Dominguez gets called back up this week, and he was up for the Little League game, so I think people wanted to at least show him off, promote him. But, that was a guy, it had to have been at least 3 or 4 years ago that he had that Bowman, and everybody was in search for it, and then kind of like you were talking about, nobody even heard of the guy for 3 years. I know he was hurt and different things happened, but maybe Jason Dominguez, if you held on to it from several years ago, is a big deal again.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, is the patience that you have to have in holding prospect cards, and everybody knows baseball. Now, you look at Skeens, Wyatt, Dylan Cruz, all these people that are getting called up immediately. So you immediately think like, oh, that's how all these other players work. That's not, it's not how it works. But, with Bowman, we're excited to see the release. We're excited to see Chrome. This is actually a really big release. I didn't have the ability to bring all the stuff on set today. There's Spectra Basketball, which comes out this year. It's like one of the first high-end basketball products outside of Prism, really, and Select, and it's going to have the Logo Man card of Victor Wembanyama, which is going to be a huge chase. Nice. People love Spectra. They love the design of the cards. We have 2024 Panini Score, which is the first football release for Panini for the new draft class. So Caleb Williams rookie cards and Jaden Daniel rookie cards. You'll have autographs of these guys. Now they'll be in their college jerseys because they don't shift over to NFL just yet. But it's going to be a unique experience to see people. Score is a great product. I think of it as like a Topps flagship, a paper product where you get lots and lots of cards. It's not worth a ton, but again, it's a lot of fun. You get like rookie class and stuff like that. We also have Topps Chrome Tennis Sapphire coming up, which the Chrome Tennis did really well initially, and it's dropped down. If you check Waxstat, you can see all the price changes in it, but it's come down quite a bit. But now they released the Sapphire, which is looking like it's pre-selling really strong. So I'm wondering if with Sapphire you're going to see a little oomph with the Tennis Chrome. And then the one release that nobody really knows much about is called Topps Motif Football. It comes out on Friday, and it looks very much like the impeccable brand of Panini. But here's the crazy thing. Usually on Waxstat or just go to Meelypops.com, you can find out what the pre-sale prices are on this stuff. Nobody has it out for pre-sale, and it comes out on Friday. And the reason why is nobody knows what to price it at, because is it going to be this massive expensive product, or is it going to be a dud? We don't know. The cards will look to be on-card autographs. Brady will be in it. Stroud will be in it. Richardson. I mean, all of these names will be in it. So we'll see on Friday. We didn't get a ton of allocation for that. I mean, that's typical on these high-end products. And so we'll make sure it lasts pretty long. But Top Smoke to you football, and that kind of wraps up for this week. There's a lot of wax though coming out.
Yeah, it is a lot. And maybe Marvin Harrison Jr. knew that he wasn't going to be existent, so he didn't need to get in any cards.
That's
right?
true. Yeah,
that was another dud from what we were talking about in segment one. A lot of people drafted him very early.
He was top receiver, top 10, right? And a lot of I just always stay away from rookies. It's scary to me, you know. Jaden Daniels is one of those guys. I think if you had to have a backup quarterback, but like I think. Just you look at someone like him, and Kyler didn't look too bad, I don't think, in the game. Yeah. You know, I think that Kyler Murray is he's a baseball guy. You know, he's up your alley. But for somebody that size to do what he does consistently is pretty impressive.
And when he plays, when not hurt and being a part of things, he's always ranked in the top 5 from at least a fantasy standpoint. So you at least have the appeal of that and everything that's going on. So there you go. Again, check out WaxStat. Save time and money. Get the best deal on wax by visiting WaxStat.com. So week 2 will be interesting for football. Gosh, you got all these college teams still trying to figure out what's going on. SEC still rules a roost with 6 of the top 7 in the top 25. Notre Dame goes down, Michigan goes down. So a couple of these national powerhouses, a lot of people thought, but that's the good part. We still got a lot of college football left, and now you've got a 12-team playoff. So you're able to at least get more teams in and have some fun with it.
Yeah, it seems like for to me the fanaticism is even at I don't know if it's just a Pat McAfee thing, but you watch game day and it just seems like it's getting crazier and crazier. So I love college football. I love what it's about. I got a big weekend this weekend with Texas A&M coming to town, but it's going to be a lot of fun just seeing just the progression of these Florida teams. This state is in a kind of a weird flux, right? You got Miami looking like the best team now, and Florida State, you know, who's expected to be huge, and then you got the Gators. So what we're figuring out, UCF, I think it was UCF gave or USF gave a little challenge to Bama. So shout out to them. But looking forward to seeing that. For those of you online and who are listening to this, by the way, reviews are great. So if you guys ever get a chance to leave us a review, be super helpful on any of the other podcast platforms, or of course comments on our Facebook or YouTube as well. The video element, we'd love to see just the ability of, you know, what you guys are liking in the podcast, what you want to hear more of, you know, why my nose is so big or why Jeff is so beautiful. You know, those kinds of things you can talk about as well.
A lot of things to meander through and make it happen. Well, good luck on Saturday.
Thanks.
Rip it well with everybody getting out there. It should be a lot of fun. We'll certainly talk about if there's any big hits or cool things that happen in the shop next week.
Yeah, and you have fun in the swamp. It's going to be a rocking atmosphere, I think.
A hot 3:30 game, but we'll see what happens. And then, gosh, maybe in 2 or 3 years, DJ Lagway's cards will be legit.
He actually has Leaf cards already,
really?
Which is crazy. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Put them on a Wheaties box too. I'll collect that from back in the day. All right, that is Jameel. I am Jeff. You have been listening to the Meelypod Hobby Podcast, episode 15, and we are out.
Thank you for joining us. We will see you next Thursday at noon.